Hello everyone, I hope all you are doing well. Well, today I'm here to discuss about Iran. What's happening in Iran is something unusual and very big. While people are very busy about Venezuela, Somaliland and Yemen, big protests are taking place in Iran. People are demonstrating against regime. Some cities even losing control. The regime is losing control in some cities. Uh, well, first, let me tell you that such protests in Iran are not uncommon. I mean, all we know that it's not a secret that people are not happy about the regime and the government. So they constantly demonstrate against the regime and government. They chant for that for dictator, down with the Mullah regime, and some slogans in favor of Shah regime, former Shah regime and Pahlavi family. So far, nothing is unusual. But this time, the protest is hitting different. I'm gonna try to tell you why it's different under three sections, under three reasons. But before, I would love to ask you to support me by liking and leaving your comments. Thank you so much. You know, it's a new channel and I do my best by myself to give you different scope, different analysis. I don't like to tell you the same thing like other people are telling. I try to see the things from the third scope, a different analysis. This is why we call this channel as the third current, because there's always a third way. Thank you so much for your support. So let's dive in. Last Sunday, Iranian real, the currency, has dropped dramatically against US dollar. I mean, Iranian economy is already not doing very well because of sanctions, US sanctions and international sanctions. But the currency is already weak, anyways, and inflation is very high. Inflation rate is very high. People are suffering under the wars and bad economic conditions. And after the currency's drop, dramatic. It's like hitting a record against hitting a record low against the US dollar. People took script. Like every time they burn anything belongs to the regime, like posters of Soleimani, the Khamenei, they chant to that regime, kill the Mullah regime. We want freedom, and you know, some people chant in favor of Pahlavi and Shah regime. But this time something special happened actually. Grand Bazaar of Tehran went a strike. I mean, Grand Bazaar of Tehran guys went strike. That is very unusual, very uncommon, and it's very unique. It's not very often that you see people from the Grand Bazaar are going on a strike. Why is it important? Grand Bazaar of Tehran, for those who don't know Iran, is like Nasdaq of the US. It's like Manhattan, you know. I mean, the people are not wearing Italian style suits. They are not holding in Starbucks mugs. They are not wearing sunglasses. But the bazaar is heart of Iranian economy at all. It is center of commerce, center of economy, center of everything, center of money, basically, heart of Iranian money. So, to figure out how important, how strong the strike was, as a result of the strike and the protest, governor of Iranian central bank resigned. I mean, when we say he resigned, actually, the systems like Iran, regimes like Iran, resignation is not an option. I mean, either you are kicked out or you are forced to resign. I mean, you cannot resign with your free will. So this is what happened to the governor, perhaps. He was kicked out or he forced to resign, basically. But it is very important to see that the governor officially resigned after the Tehran Grand Bazaar strike, and they joined the protesters. So that is the first reason why this time the protests are hitting different. And the second one, when you look at the map of Iran, the protest map of Iran, on social media they are posting very nice maps of protests actually. Most of the protests are massing at the western part of Iran, the western Iran. Why does it matter? Because Kurds are living in the western part of Iran. It's Kurdish majority. So why do Kurds matter? Because Kurds are the second largest ethnic group in Iran. They are Sunni and they are Iranian, but they are Sunni, and they're over 20 million. It's not a joke. It's more than more than most of European countries, 20 million. So who are Kurds? Kurds are the people who fought against Saddam's dictatorship in Iraq, fought second largest army of NATO, which is Turkey, fought against ISIS, Al Qaeda, and any type of Islamist and jihadist figure in Syria. So it makes sense to say that Kurds in Iran wants to follow the steps of their cousins in other countries like Syria, Turkey, and Iraq. It also makes sense to say that Kurds are one of the biggest, one of the most important and weakest points of Iranian regime, right? By the way, let me give you a hint, guys. The Kurdish part of Syria is famously called Rojava. Okay, so Kurdish part of Syria is called Rojava, and Kurdish part of Iran is called Rojhelat. Just keep this word in your mind. Just friendly advice. Apparently, you will hear this word a lot in coming days. So, there are reports on social media and open sources that a Kurdish city of Iran called Elam or Ilam, my pronunciation is not charming, I know, it's either called Elam, is under control of protesters. I mean, the regime left the city, lost the control of the city. Almost all, I mean, according to the report, regime's military forces like IRGC, Basij, police, soldiers, Artash, either they left the city or they lied on arms and joined the protesters. That is very huge. Can you imagine? One of the province of Iran, the Kurdish province of Iran, is under control of protesters. The regime lost his control in the city. I mean, yeah, the reports are unconfirmed, unverified, but we are not trying to confirm nor verify these reports. Even they are not verified or confirmed. They tell us something. They tell us that Iranian regime is, compared to previous protests, are very weak and very soft to respond to protesters. Actually, yes. If you remember what happened in 2009, Iranian police, soldiers, IRGC, Basij, every armed element of Iranian regime took the street, killed, jailed, tortured the protesters. They even shot by the snipers to kill the protesters. Many protesters died by the sniper shot in Tehran. It was a battle more than the protesters, And remember Mahsa Amini protest a couple of years ago. You remember Mahsa Amini, right? The young Kurdish girl who was killed by Iranian regime because she doesn't cover her hair completely. I mean, she covers her hair, but not completely. Because of that, she was killed. She was murdered. And the protest after her spread all around the country, like nationwide. And again, this protest was also like a clash between regime and the protesters. The protesters shot the regime forces, regime police and soldiers. The police stations were bombed, and the regime in response cracked down on the protesters with violence. They tortured them, they killed them, they jailed them. So they basically used violence in the protest, but this time they are not using. The regime is not using violence. But why? I'm gonna explain the third reason. So the third reason is that third reason is basically the 12 days war between Iran and Israel. After the war, Iranian regime took some lessons from his mistakes and his methodology and everything he has. The regime is trying to change itself in many aspects, like economic, military, intelligence, social and legal and everything. Economic wise, like I said, Iranian regime is already in a trouble, okay, because of sanctions, because of US sanctions, UN sanctions. And last summer, Iran has a drought during summer. People couldn't even find a drop of water, and without water, Iranian agriculture suffered a lot. It harmed, and the food sector as well, which caused the even higher inflation rate. And industry harmed as well. Without water, the industry doesn't work either, like agriculture sector. And the worst news for Iranian regime is that, in addition to all of these reasons, price of oil and the gas in the global market is dropping. I mean, oil and gas, the fossil stuffs, are the biggest, if not all, biggest income for Iranian regime. So without them, Iranian regime basically cannot survive. So dropping the price of oil and gas is quite bad news for Iran. So in terms of military, Iran has lost his proxies in Middle East. Like there is no Hamas, there is no Hezbollah, there is no folks in Iraq anymore. So Iranian regime cannot rely on the proxy world anymore. They cannot rely on the proxies anymore. So this is why they are changing their military doctrine. They are buying fighter jets from China and Pakistan, like J-10 or J-17, depends on which country you're buying from. And they already received some Sukhoi 35 from Russia. And according to the reports on social media and open sources, they already mounted some Chinese-made air defense system, ADS. So basically, they are shifting their military doctrine from offensive to the defensive position, which I call from Octopus to the turtle. By the way, there will be a special analysis on Iran's changing military doctrine, so please keep following and supporting guys. So concerning the social life, which is most important one, I just mentioned Mahsa Amini. She was killed because she doesn't cover her head, right? But these days, we are seeing a lot of reports, videos on social media that Iranian women are dancing, singing, walking, eating, TikToking, filming freely in public without wearing a hijab, without covering their hair. So apparently, Iranian regime not lifted completely, but they lose control over the woman. People are already suffering under the wars and the economic crisis. They just don't want to increase the pressure on people. So the law of wearing hijab is still there, de jure, but de facto it's not in enforcement. It's not action. It's not in action, I can say. So that is huge development. Anyone knows Iran, anyone follows Middle East and Iranian regime would understand what I mean. Hair scarf and hijab may not be very important for many people in the world, but in context of Iran, especially, it is huge development. It's huge change, I can say. So why does Iranian regime do that? Actually, it is the same reason I just mentioned why Iranian regime is very soft to crack down on the protesters these days. The reason is that they fear, guys. They are afraid that, they're concerned that if they crack down on the protests or they increase the pressure on people, especially women and youth, the protests and demonstration will grow stronger. And I can tell you that they are right. They have to concern. They are right to concern about that. So they are kind of thinking very wise to reducing the pressure, I can say. But can Iran still pressure on people? Definitely yes. I mean, they still have capability to crash on the protesters. They can still have capability to torture, jail, and kill them, right? Actually, this is what we are hearing from Iranian social media. They are jailing, they're deporting the foreigners constantly, especially the Indians and Afghans, and they're jailing them, and some of them are being hanged by Iranian regime. Apparently, Iran wants to develop a new intelligence and new spy network and counter to Israel's strong network inside of Iran. So they are just executing any foreigners, anyone who they suspect is spying for Israel. So that's another thing. So yeah, they have capability to crack down on the protesters, but they don't want to do that. This is why they are soft. This is why they are withdrawing. This is why they are showing their weakness. This is why they are giving space for the protesters, because they're afraid if they crack down, which they can again, if they crack down, protesters and protests will grow stronger. So whatever you call it, reform, change, policy shift, or whatever you call it, however you call it, it should remind you something, guys. Anyone study political science, anyone knows the near history, should tell me or leave a comment under the video that the reforms in Iran, which we mentioned right now, very, very similar to Gorbachev's reforms at the end of the Soviet Union, right? Which is Glasnost and Perestroika. For those who don't know, I would just sum up the things. These two reforms, Glasnost and Perestroika, are two major reforms in Soviet Union, last days of Soviet Union, designed to give people more freedom of speech, freedom of protest, freedom of expression, and more economic right. Like basically, in Soviet Union you couldn't have your own company, but with these reforms, Soviet Union gave grants, some slight rights, economic rights to people to have their own small business. So Soviet Union, by these reforms, hoped to keep himself as a one piece, but it didn't work. I mean, Soviet Union doesn't exist today, right? So apparently it didn't work. I'm not telling you that Iranian regime will fall down like Soviet Union. I'm not a fortune teller, guys. I'm not a fortune teller. We are not here to spread the speculations about the countries. We are here to analyze based on the reports, open source reports, and qualitative and quantitative data. So I'm not telling you that Iranian regime will dissolve anytime soon, but we know that the history says that such reforms not every time work, right? They don't work every time. Soviet Union is one of the greatest and one of the closest example I can say. So basically, I can advise, if I may, advise the regime to not keep their expectation very high of these reforms. These reforms, even they give more freedom to the people, doesn't guarantee that Iranian regime will survive. And remember again what happened in Soviet. When Gorbachev gave more freedom to the people, more freedom of speech, more freedom of protest, more economic freedom, he hoped that the people will be very satisfied and they will love the government more. But when Soviet people found more freedom, they protest more, they criticize the government, Soviet government more, they ask more economic right. So basically they didn't stop, they asked more. And that may happen in Iran as well. That may happen in Iran as well. This is why I'm saying that I don't tell you Iran will dissolve anytime soon, but I mean I cannot predict that. I'm not a fortune teller once again, but Soviet Union is very similar example to Iranian regime. So again, if I may, I would advise the regime, don't keep your expectation very high from these reforms. And here, guys, I want to recommend to you one of the interview, Javad Zarif's interview last week. I don't remember which channel he gave the interview, but it was very important because it's like he was admitting his sins in a church. He was like, we did mistake, we did that, we did this, but we changed, we are not saying Iran anymore, like exactly. So apparently, to me, I translate his words. His former prime minister of Iran, he's not someone on the street, right? So I feel like Iranian regime is giving signal to US and the Israel government that we can be friends. We don't have to fight anymore. We can have common enemies like Turkey, for example. Why not? Because Turkey is one of the countries kicked out Iran from Syria. Sorry. And Arabs. Why not? So I don't have any proven report or confirmation, but this is how I translate his words. Iranian regime, to me, giving signal to U.S. and Israel governments to change to forget the past and having a new page in the history. I don't know if they can convince U.S. and Israel to do that. I don't know if they will be able to convince to forget the past. I can tell you it will be very difficult with Israel. Well, U.S. is somehow looks possible, but with Israel it looks very, very challenging for Iran. But yeah, that is, I can say, one of the rare options for Iranian regime to survive. And I can tell you, if somehow they convince U.S. and Israel government to be friends, it will help Iranian regime more than the reforms we just mentioned. Well, I guess that is pretty much of it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please drop your comments under the video. I really enjoy reading your comments. I'm not kidding. I'm not being nice. I really enjoy. And remember what I said in my first video, if you watch it. I want this channel to be a platform for people who love democracy and freedom of speech. I really don't mind if you critique me and you leave your comments. And I'm sure someone from Iran is watching this video. And please leave your comments and what do you think about my analysis. Do you agree or do you disagree? Feel free to comment, feel free to like, feel free to share this video and subscribe. And thank you so much in advance. And once again, there's a reason for we are calling this channel the third current. I'm not telling you the same thing as people say, and I don't like the cliche. I don't like the same thing, telling the same things. I mean, many people are saying, making the same analysis, but here in this channel I want to see the things from the different angle, where people are in a different direction and people different scope, different plans. So please share, like and comment, and thanks for watching, guys. Thank you. See you next time.